Hey guys, Happy New Year. I cannot believe I'm saying that. It is currently January 3rd. And here's the thing, I'm really behind on editing. I'm about 5 months behind. There's a lot that I've skipped, there's a lot that I've neglected for many reasons. And, with the year that I've had, I've really been reflecting on it as we're in this new year now. And I was also thinking, I think in all of the videos that I've done, I've never once mentioned my name, and my handle is also not my name. So I thought, let me just do an introductory video, talk a little bit about myself, and discuss the year that I've had in 2025 and kind of what I have going on or what I hope to accomplish in 2026. These are always fun to do. I'm a very reflective person and kind of like a big picture planner by nature. And so this is always something I do for me personally, anyways. And I thought, because I've been calling this channel my diary, why not record it and post it on the internet? Okay, so a couple of disclaimers first. One, I got a clock for my birthday. It's actually my childhood clock. My mom's kept it all this time. My dad hates it because it chimes every 15 minutes. I love it. And I finally set it up. So I'm expecting this to take a minute because I'm a very chatty Kathy. Um, and I could talk for literally until I have no more memory, which might be soon. But I got this new clock and I just set it up and I love her. And you're going to hear it chime in the background. You also might hear this old man behind the table snoring, my dog Sven. He is snoring nice and loud and it's precious. So, what are you going to do? But yeah, other than that, you might hear cats running around. You might hear my neighbors come home because I have very thin plaster walls. All kinds of things could happen. It's the aesthetics of my house, I suppose. Um, and then also, I might get hit with the sun here at sunset. Um, well, maybe not. The sun's low in the sky, but I'm definitely gonna run out of light at some point. Um, but it's been so gloomy for so long that I'm just very grateful to see the sunshine. So I have to keep the blinds open for as long as possible. So we'll fix the light situation as needed. Capiche? So, to start out, the most important thing that I neglect every video. Hi, I am Taylor. I have been doing YouTube since March, I believe. I believe I started with the spring equinox, which is very fitting for me. But I've been talking about doing YouTube for a really, really long time, and I'm glad that I never did it until now, because I've been recording all these years, so I do have footage to look back on. But I also was not the person that I am today until today. So if I would have tried YouTube at any point previously, I would have felt so cringe about my journey that it would have been a much different story. I wasn't doing cool shit until 2025. So you're getting all the highlights, really. We skipped act 1 and 2, which is my younger life in my 20s, and now we're in act 3 and shit's getting good. My life really did not start making sense for me until I turned 30, and you better believe that I prayed and manifested and begged and pleaded for my 30s to be so much better. um Mostly because I was just burnt out and I had just been like hustling for so long that I wanted it to pay off at some point, and I wanted to like actually feel like I was living my life. And really, I mean, the day I turned 30 is when life started making sense for me. So if you're in your 20s, please hang in there. I mean, shit in general is real bleak right now, but I will always believe in the power of hard work and just like really believing in yourself and just getting it done, doing the damn thing. I mean, that's really how I got here. So, like I said, my name is Taylor. I'm in my 30s, and a common thread that you're going to see here is that I'm doing everything by myself, and that is because I am single. And just to address that because it's actually come up a lot lately. I don't know really what it is about this time in my life, but I am not seeing anybody. I'm not even speaking to a man romantically. I am heterosexual. I want to say unfortunately, but it's just for whatever reason I haven't met somebody yet. And that's totally fine because I'm building sheds and shit, Like I'm doing just fine over here. But like everybody, I mean, mostly everybody I would assume, I do aspire to be somebody's partner, and to have somebody be mine, but it just hasn't panned out yet. And let me just put this out there. I don't think I'm gonna find him on the internet. That's why I'm not on dating apps or anything either. So I think my audience is mostly male, and I'm okay with that as long as it stays respectful. I'm not gonna deal with any tomfoolery or anything. That's not on this channel. This sounds very confrontational. I don't mean it to sound that way. I just mean to say that posting yourself to the internet is kind of a scary thing, especially being a woman. I'm the type of girl where like I joke and I talk my shit and I curse like a sailor, but ultimately I do want to build a really respectful audience. I am not here um to be like a walking billboard for myself to find a husband. Like my intention for this channel is to really share like what I'm doing, and I really want to show other women what you can do. There's a lot of discourse about what women like me are doing, and I was just talking to a family member the other day that was like, the question that you have to ask when you're dating somebody like on the first date is what's your body count, and that shit is so disgusting to me that I want to show people, I want to show women what is possible, and I also want to show the people that think that way what women like me are actually doing. I am not talking to anyone romantically. I don't have the time for it because, like I'm running home after like an archery class because I have to put my ducks away. Like I'm just not I'm not in that realm that I think a lot of people associate modern dating as. And I feel like in my anecdotal experience, that's where a lot of women are. We're just like straight up not talking to men because, honestly, for me, because the opportunity hasn't presented itself, it's not that I haven't made like a valiant effort, but I don't know. Just what I've heard overwhelmingly, and I don't say this in a conceited way, this is just genuinely what I have been told over and over and over again, and it gets kind of tiring. I've been told that I'm really intimidating. And I see it, I get it, but I also think, especially like if I have a crush on you or something, I'm really making an effort to make it known that I'm interested in you. Um, Now, I'm not going to fall all over myself about it, because I have some self respect, but, I make an effort. And for whatever reason, that hasn't panned out yet. And I'm not worried about it. I just want to address it because in my personal life, it's been brought up a lot recently. Okay, I was losing too much light. So now we're here. So now that I got all of that out of the way, let's move on. I mean, I say that I'm solo, but there's actually a whole menagerie of animals that I've never formally introduced, so I'm going to do that now. So I have my two dogs. They're both 12, and my first one is Sven. He is my soul dog. I I mean, I've had him his entire life, like since the day he separated from his mother. Um he's really grown with me. He's been with me all through my 20s. He's been with me through some heavy shit. And so I really got blessed with like the best dog ever. He's been kind of a turd sometimes. He sometimes has been the cause of my grief, and sometimes he's been the thing that pulls me out of it. So um just really I love all of my animals equally, but Sven was my first. He was literally my day one. And I mean, I bought my house because I had him. I was having such a hard time finding apartments for, or apartments that allowed large dogs, and so it ended up being more financially reasonable and also just situationally better for me to buy a house. And so I did. I bought a house for my dog, which I'm very fortunate to be able to say. I don't say that um, with any lack of acknowledgement about what a privilege it is to say, but that was the scenario at the time. I was one of those people, you hear people joke that are like, "Oh, I should have bought my house when I was 10 years old." I bought my house when I was 22. I have done everything in my life backwards, and I don't know. So far, it's worked out for me, so can't really complain. But yes, so I have my dog Sven, and then I also have another dog, Penny. You don't see her in clips as much because she's an odd duck. She kind of does whatever she wants. She's a very old girl. She's acted like an old lady her entire life. I got her when she was 2. She's a treeing Walker Coonhound, and she's originally from Kentucky. I got her from a hound dog rescue, and I didn't even intend on getting a hound dog, but I love them. I've never had one before in all of my animals that I've had, and she was my first, and I just love her. But yeah, she's got a few screws loose. So she is most often following her nose, minding her own business. She wants really nothing to do with me for the most part. So if you don't see her in clips, that's why. She's probably in the background, um, sniffing out something. So um, those are my dogs, and then I also have 4 cats. I have my first guy, Radish. He's he is the most Studio Ghibli cat you could ever ask for. He's actually named after the radish spirit from Spirited Away, and he's just a chill dude. He's very noisy. I think he's part Bengal because he's very, very vocal. Um, so if you ever hear a cat in the background, it's absolutely him. And I feel like if you ignore him, he gets louder. So yeah. And then I have my other girl, Willow. Willow, I've actually known her literal entire life. She is a farm kitten that came from my aunt's cat, and they did not know she was pregnant. And the day that I was there celebrating one of my cousins something or other, their cat ended up giving birth. And I've been an animal lover my whole life, so I basically acted as a cat doula that day. And then 2 years ago, I took in Denari and Bird. Bird was initially named Penny, which obviously that we couldn't let that happen, so I needed to rename her, and I ended up calling her Bird because she chirps. She doesn't really meow unless she's feeling very animated, which is not very often. But she just chirps. She's very, very sweet. She's a great mouser. She's very much my familiar. Again, I love all of my animals, but there is just a deeper connection with Bird. I think it's because she's obsessed with me. Like wherever I'm at, usually she's there. I'm surprised she hasn't run down the stairs because I've been saying her name. Those are my cats, and then with the rest of my inside animals, I also have a guinea pig, Mac. I call him Macaroni. His name is actually Mackenzie because I was obsessed with Outlander. I mean, I still kind of am. I just haven't watched it in a long time. And that's it for my inside animals. But then outside, I do have my birds. So I have 3 male ducks, which is not not recommended to have 3 males. They kind of suck. Um, but I have my 2 big jumbo Peking ducks. I don't have names for them. I just call them the Brute Brothers, um, because they just beat up on everything and each other, and just they're definitely like meatheads, and they're huge ducks. I threaten to eat them every day. And then I also have my Khaki Campbell Drake William that hangs out with them all the time. He likes being with them despite their issues. I do plan on getting more ducklings in the spring. That is partially why I built the coop that I built last summer. I keep wanting to say this summer. Last summer, I ordered them from a hatchery because I am pretty particular with duck breeds. I want a mixture because I am planning on hatching out duck eggs. Um, Maybe to sell ducks, just like locally on Facebook. Also, just because I just like hatching out birds. It's a really fun process to go through, and I have chickens that are willing to be broody, and who doesn't freaking love ducklings, you know? So, um, I may raise them to sell them as birds. I may raise them to eat them. I've never had duck meat before. I keep wanting to get like a whole duck and do something with it, but I haven't done it yet. I've never had duck before, and I know it's like a dark meat, which is not my favorite. So I'm going to be I'm going to be getting a duck before I get all these ducklings because that'll kind of shape the breeds that I get and some of the decisions I make about them. So very long-winded explanation of my ducks, but that's them. Eventually, when I do get my female ducks, I am going to be moving William the Drake in with my larger chicken run. So I will be moving him in with my girls because he can be in with them right now. He just prefers to be with the boys. Boys will be boys. So I have my boys, then I also have my girls. I have my 5 chickens. I did have 6. So initially, when the year began, I had my 2 older girls. I had Patsy and Loretta, and then I built the shed, and then now I built the shed, and then I got 4 chicks. Unfortunately, my hen Juniper, I don't really know what happened with her. I thought she had an impacted crop.
Her crop is really full. And I don't think it should be. It feels like there's like a softball in there.
But she was perfectly fine one day, and then the morning I went out to give them their food and water, she was in the coop on the roosting bar, and I thought maybe she was just kind of being a wimp and like didn't want to come out in the cold. So I gave her some time, but I just knew she wasn't acting right, and I gave her about 2 hours to kind of, start acting normal, and she didn't. And so I ended up bringing her inside, and I like force fed her water. Because I thought she had an impacted crop, I didn't feed her. Um, I just tried to make sure she was getting fluids and stuff and kept an eye on her. And she just ended up passing away kind of suddenly that evening. Not even really that evening, that afternoon. It really was not long. So she wasn't acting sick, she was just kind of acting off. So I don't know, but it's weird to me, but everybody else is fine, so I don't really know what to think about that. But of course, Juniper was my favorite. That's why you don't ever pick favorites for your animals because those are always the ones that go first in my experience. And yeah, so now I'm down to 3 new additions. They do have names. I did come up with names for all of them, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. I usually refrain from naming them until I have to. Like when Juniper got sick, I had to name her Juniper. And so that's usually how they get names, which is very upsetting, but it's the reality of how things go. I've been through many a bird in the 10 years that I've been here. And I mean, at the bottom of the food chain for a reason. It happens. Um, so those are all my animals. I've had all sorts of things over the years. I've had rabbits. I've had a hedgehog. I had a hedgehog for a while. Mainly, the animals that I've had are animals that I have taken in from other people. I would really like to get into meat rabbits. So that may be something that I get into this year. It's kind of going to depend on how this year is going for me, but I mean, I have high hopes for it to go well, but I'm talking in terms of the projects that I have going on, which we'll get into that in a little bit. So that's a little bit about me. I will also add that I do work full time, which is why I'm not very consistent on here. As much as I love doing YouTube full time is not the goal. Frankly, I just really like the stability of having a corporate job. Now, there are days where I regret saying that, but for the most part, I got a pretty good gig, and I have an opportunity this year to progress in my career, and with that, in theory, comes a pretty significant salary increase, and so being able to achieve that, and I am it's basically getting a certification. I work in regulatory compliance, which is to say that I make sure that the company that I work for um, it follows the law. I work in consumer protection and I take it very seriously. I'm very passionate about it. My personality type is INFJ, which is known as the advocate. And I think the job that I do now very much aligns with it. I absolutely fell into it. I've worked at this company for a long time and I've been in different positions. And this one, for a long time, I've been saying it's not my passion, and I would still argue that it's not, but I am passionate about it. I do take it very seriously, and I take consumer protection as a whole very seriously. I have a very strong sense of justice, and like when you know better, you do better. And I know people hate seeing me in their inbox, but I really enjoy my job, and I really enjoy what I do. So I think it makes sense. I'm at the point now where I have an opportunity to get a certification that would mean progressing my career and opening up new opportunities for me, and then also an increased salary, which is always appreciated. So I will be spending the first half of the year basically training and studying for that. I'll be taking the test in June. And I mean, all things considered, passing. And that's going to take up a lot of my time. And in between that, I'm also going to be doing things. So in January, I am going skiing for the first time. I'm taking a trip with my friends. Very excited and very nervous about it. I've been watching lots of videos on how to ski. I'm not doing a class or anything. We're only doing it for one day. So I'm like, you know what? If I end up falling on the slopes all day, then so be it. You know, I'll be bundled in all this gear. Nobody will know who I am. And then at the end of it, I get in a car and go home, So I'm not worried about it. But I am going to try to be as prepared as I can be. So I'm not like a pain in the ass to ski with. If you're my friend and in my group, I'll have that going on. I also, in 2026, my biggest goal is to have just a real kick-ass garden. I mean, it's been 3 years now that I haven't had a good garden, and I can't bear it any longer. It's really killing me. I really, really enjoy gardening, and I just have not gotten to scratch that itch in the last couple years. But yeah, my garden is, I'm gonna say, my number one goal for the year. I mean, it's really, really important to me to get that garden producing. Um, I mean, I think the fact that my garden has just really not been what I've needed it to be for the past couple years, it's really made me not enjoy cooking as much. And that means I've really been relying on convenience food and fast food and not taking cooking seriously because I'm like, oh, I didn't grow it myself. Like there's no pride in like going to the grocery store and buying a tomato. So I think it's really just been bumming me out culinarily and also just like as a gardener. It's killing me to not have a good garden. And so that's really, really my focus. Something that happened this year that's going to make my life like night and day difference is that my parents very generously gifted my dad's 2002 Chevy. Her name is Peggy. She has been in my life her entire life. They did have the opportunity to sell it, but they asked me if I wanted it because I've been wanting for a long time to have a car to work on. I haven't bought anything for that purpose because I don't have a garage. So, I don't really have a space that's conducive for like doing a full car restoration, but mechanics is something that I really wanted to get into. Not like completely rebuilding an engine, but just like being able to do basic things and being able to problem solve some car troubles, kind of hand in hand with like the life that I want for myself. I do eventually want to live, I mean, ideally off grid, but kind of remote. I want to live far away from people. Not because I like absolutely hate people. I do believe that people on the whole are good, and you don't live in a remote place without the support of your community around you, whatever that looks like. So it's not like a people factor. It's just like this is the life that I'm interested in. I mean, ever since I've been in my house, I've been doing some form of urban homesteading, and I hesitate to call it that because I don't know. I don't think my definition of it matches like what people think of, and maybe I'm just like overinflating or underestimating what I do, but yeah, I mean, I do a little bit of urban and homesteading, and I've always done it, and I feel like I'm just at the point where I want like real land, especially now that in 2025 I got into firearms. I never shot a gun before, and I've been terrified of guns my whole life, and I still very much believe that we need sensible gun legislation. I just That's always one caveat I want to include. I am very progressive on my views of gun ownership. Um, but I wanted to know how to use one because I do want to do hunting and things like that. I don't want a firearm necessarily for self defense. I just personally don't feel that I need it. If that changes, my opinion of that will change as well. But as it stands right now, it is specifically like a hunting tool for me. And I also haven't been back in the range since May. That's not to say that I don't want to get back in the range, but I do have a firearm of my own. I just don't have one that I'm really interested in shooting like recreationally. So I would like to get I would like to get a 22 rifle and pistol, just so I kind of have some familiarity with both, and then eventually, as I do get into hunting, get some more serious equipment for it. But as it happened, I got into firearms first, and then I got into archery, and archery has just really taken over my life and my brain and everything, which I guess I should have known because I have been journaling for a long time about wanting to do archery. I just haven't been brave enough to do it because I knew that it was going to be something, both firearms and archery were something that I was going to have to get into by myself because I don't know anybody that wants to do it. So it really took a lot of just a lot of gumption on my end to like actually go out there and learn the things that I want to do. Like nobody's going to show up at my house and teach me how to use a gun, at least not in a very productive manner. So yeah, it took me being brave enough to be bad at something in front of strangers, and I would really encourage it. I met a lot of people that are now my friend, and it's really changed my life. And archery is everything to me right now. You can see my bow bag. I got my first bow. I became a gun owner and a bow owner this year, which is crazy. Not this year, last year. Also crazy. But that's just something that's just it's just I mean, I have a rifle bag and a bow bag behind me. Like it's the person I became in 2025 is just like to have been in this body with this mind this whole time and to see the progression that happened between 2020 December 2024 and January 2026. I mean, a complete 180 of a person. I really feel like this year, 2025, last year, I aligned with really who I want to be and who I could be, and now is my chance to just really build on that foundation that I've laid for myself. So that's what my goal is for 2026, really, to just continue building, keep up with this momentum, and just really add on and just really find my footing to take the next step. So I got a little off topic, but we were talking about 2026 and some of the things that I was doing. And so let's keep up with that momentum. So something that I want to be, I don't want to say a bigger focus, but like the same amount of focus in 2026 as it was in 2025 is my financial freedom. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to be able to have it as a woman by herself. I mean, to be a self-made woman in the way that I am is really important to me, and it's a core part of my identity, and it's something that I want to continue with. So in 2025, let me phrase this in two ways. I was very privileged and fortunate enough, and I worked hard enough to pay off $25,000 in debt. Um, I mean, to be able to do that in the economy that we're experiencing now, I don't want to I don't want to overlook the inherent privilege that I have in saying that because I know not everybody is able to to save, I mean, anywhere close to the things that I'm saying, but I also don't want to undermine the hard work that went into it because it took a lot. It meant like, I'm not buying shit off TikTok shop. I don't have an Amazon Prime account. I'm not ordering Amazon shit 24/7. Like it does take a lot of work on your part. But I'm also acutely aware that you cannot budget yourself out of poverty. It takes a lot of hard work. For me personally, it took working two jobs for 9 years. Um, it was a lot. It took a lot for me to get to this point, and it took a lot of self control and determination, and also good luck and good fortune and privilege and all the things. There's a lot that went into it, but suffice to say, I was able to pay off a substantial amount of my debt. I'm not completely debt free, and I, I mean, really won't be because my mortgage will always be there, for the most part. But I got to the point now where my mortgage is like 70% of my overall debt. And I've been making strides to be debt free for the purpose of I'm kind of setting myself up in 2026 to pay off the remainder of my debt and, try to get my cost of living as low as I can so I can save as much as I can. And then by 2027, I really want to be looking to sell my house to move. Now, that would mean moving to a different state. Um, I've kind of mentioned it here and there, so let me just address it plain and simple. I really want to move to Minnesota. It's been my goal for a long time. I've kind of bounced around wanting to move to different places. Like I would still really, really love living in Washington State, but I'm familiar with Minnesota. I have like a familial connection to it. Not that I don't for Washington as well, but I've been going to Minnesota since I was a wee baby. I spent 1 or 2 weeks of summer in Minnesota with my grandparents. They had a cabin up there on a lake, that we would go to, and I would fish, I would swim in the lake, I would walk on the gravel road, and we'd see deer. Like I just had, in that respect, the ideal childhood. Like, it really set me up with this like respect for nature, and my grandparents also kind of instilled a lot of the things that I'm doing. Not to say that, my actual parents haven't had a lick of influence on me, but I did spend a lot of time with my grandparents. I had a really young mother who had to work very hard to be able to keep a roof over our heads. So that often meant I was spending a lot of time with my grandma, and go figure, I'm like a grandma in a 32-year-old's body now. But I do take a lot of influence from my grandpa too. I really believe in hard work and, doing things yourself. And yeah, I'm just like a little bit of my grandpa, a little bit of my grandma, and Minnesota really, really made an impact on me. The years that I had there were very, very crucial to who I am now. And there's just this quality of life that I see myself having there. And it's just not that I couldn't do like hunting and fishing here in Nebraska, where I am currently. I was born and raised here. Um, it's just not the same caliber. Fishing in Nebraska lakes is not like fishing in Minnesota lakes. And the game options, at least locally, I mean, it might just be as simple as like a city versus country living aspect, but my parents live outside of the city now, and I'm like still not what I would want. I still want to move to Minnesota. So it would mean doing so by myself, and again, I want to live remotely, so that means I'm looking at large properties that I would basically be managing by myself. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a lot, and I'm not saying that I'm not scared shitless to do it, to leave anyone and everything I've ever known to go live in the middle of the woods is it's a lofty goal. But my best friend even just said this to me, that like, I'm never going to be content with staying here. I will always talk about moving. if I stay. And it's not that I'm not content with my life here. It's not that I don't have a beautiful life here. I mean, I could talk at length that, how blessed I am, but it's just like it's like that thing that's calling to me, and it's so scary to answer the call, but I think I have to. I think I have to, especially now. If I do all the hard work that I have planned for 2026, I'm really going to set myself up to be at like the prime of my life, to be making this move. And I have the next, you know, 2/3 of my life to really live out this dream that I have for myself. And so I think I would be remiss to not take the chance. And if I decide that I mess up and you know what, I got to come back. The thing is I think about moving, I don't think about coming back. And I mean, part of that is like you hope it works out the first try, but I just like there's no plan after moving to Minnesota. It's like moving there and just making it. And I don't know what that's going to look like because I do want to live in the middle of the woods, and I don't know what building community from that distance looks like, but I know myself and I know what I value, and I know that I'm not just going to like go move out there and never have a friend and never talk to anybody ever again. That's just not how I operate. And I also don't think that that's how Minnesota works either. Like, I don't think the people up there would let you really get away with being like never coming out of your house or, whatever. Everyone that I've met in Minnesota is incredibly kind and very community driven. And especially in smaller communities like that, like, I know it's very much the lifestyle to like show up for each other. And I think that's also part of what draws me to it. Not that there's not that in the city, but it's not the same way. There's just a lot of aspects of the two lives that I could have that Minnesota is just in its own caliber, and I align more with that one. So I want to move to Minnesota. That's my goal for 2027, is to like really, really look. I'm also just ready to like level up everything. Not necessarily like square footage of my house, but I need a damn garage. I don't know how many times I have said that. We could turn it into a drinking game if you were like here in person. I need a garage real bad. I have a lot of outdoor activities. It's a lot more than I really ever thought I would be into. I need a bigger garage and I need a bigger kitchen, or at least more kitchen storage. I have about 6 square feet of counter space. And when I found this house, I mean, this house has worked for me and it will continue to work for me if nothing else pans out. But um, I'm just at the point now where I need a little bit more. I need a little bit bigger kitchen. I need a garage. I want more land. I want the opportunity to go fishing and hunting and whatever. Um, and I'm going to explore more of that in 2026 here. But again, it's just different in Minnesota. And that's just the life I want for myself. I really love life up north, and I want to be up there permanently. And that's also kind of the direction my immediate family is going. My dad specifically very desperately wants to move up to Minnesota, so they will probably be up there eventually. It's calling back to me. So but my plan is to move to Minnesota ideally in 2027. So I really want to ramp up everything that I'm doing on my property here because it's kind of like my final shot. So in order for me to achieve the goal of selling my house, that means I want to pay off the remainder of my debt, with the exclusion of my mortgage, but that basically means that I need to have a repeat of 2025 in 2026, which means I'm going to have to make some pretty significant strides to pay off debt. Um, I'm basically just going to do the same thing over again. Any bonus I get is being thrown at debt. Any tax return I get being thrown at debt. That's really how I did it. So I'm going to do that again this year, and ideally pay off the remainder of my debt with the exclusion of my mortgage. And that should put me in a place in 2027 to be at like a pretty low cost of living lifestyle, so I can afford, I want to say the house that I want, but mainly the property that I want. Like the house, I'm okay with doing some work, and I don't want I would never be the type to build new. I love myself some character and like falling apart shit. Like I love a project, and so the house, there is a dream one in mind. It's not on the market, and I don't want anybody to know about it, so I'm not sharing it. But there's a house in mind that I'm really banking on. So I hope she waits for me. But I'm looking more so at the property. I want the property that I want. I need to be able to afford that. But I would like to get my cost of living as low as I can. So I can just, I mean, not so I can like skip out on my job, but so I can just not have to work as hard um to afford like this lifestyle that's killing me. I really want to be able to take a break and like chill out, and a lot of the things that I want to do involve like subsistence living kind of. So, fishing, hunting, gardening. Those are all the things that I really enjoy doing. I mean, granted, with hunting comes firearms that are not cheap and bows that are not cheap. Ask me how I know. And it takes equipment to do this stuff, but I want that to be the bulk of where I'm spending my money, not on like I it is a true privilege to say that I've never bought anything off a TikTok shop. Um so like I don't want to buy shit anymore. I want to buy stuff that contributes to experience. So we've talked about 2026. I think for the most part I got everything that I'm planning on doing. A lot of it is going to be my certification for work. That's going to be a lot of my focus. And then preparing my house, preparing my life, preparing my finances for moving out of state in 2027. I mean, those are the two big ticket items, but with those comes a lot of like little things. It's going to take a lot to get me there, but I'm looking forward to doing it. I want both of these things very badly. Um, so I have every faith that I will accomplish them. But we've talked about 2026. Let's look back to 2025. This is a little out of order, but 2025 was very instrumental in making me who I am. So there were like my scheduled projects. So the first one minorly being my workbench. I've wanted to build a workbench in my basement forever. And then this year I just did it. It's not complete. I would actually like to finish it tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. I've been working on like getting my life in order ahead of the new year. And this year or today, I spent cleaning all day, and it's a beautiful. I have this perfectly clean house now, and it's amazing. Um, but yeah, so I built the workbench. That's been very, very helpful having it downstairs. And now that now that the holidays are done and the cleaning is taken care of, I can start working on my little like tedious projects. So I'm looking forward to jumping into that, before I start my studying for my certification. And then I built the shed. That was a big planned project. You can go watch the videos of me building it if you'd like to see more about that. Again, I could talk at length about how much I love that shed and how much it means to me, and just the achievement of having it built and doing it myself. I mean, it's a lot. I'm proud of it every single day. So, really, really appreciate the shed. Um, some events that happened kind of unplanned. I went kayaking for the first time. I've had a kayak for 3 years now, I believe. Maybe 2 years, but I've had a kayak for a while. It's an angler's kayak. I was gifted it for my 30th birthday, so 2 years. Um, but that was my 30th birthday present from my parents. I've only taken it out once at the urging of my friend. We went together. She encouraged me to take the kayaks. I actually tied her kayak and my kayak to the top of my car for the first time, and it took a lot for me to get it up there. It was a very tedious process, but I did it. And we went kayaking, and now that is another goal for 2026. I want to go kayaking and just fishing in general more often, because it's very relaxing. I really enjoy doing it. And now also I have the truck. So, if I don't want to tie him to the car, I can put him in the back of the truck. But yeah, so I went kayaking for the first, not for the first time like ever, but with my kayak. I did that. I got into archery and firearms this year. I also just read a lot more this year, not a ton. Once the summer hit, I kind of got too busy to read, or I had other things to do. But I did read quite a few books this year. Still working through, I think I read 5 or 6 books and then also listened to several audiobooks. So, just this is also something I want to increase in 2026. I'd also like to start going to the library. Um, I thrift I thrift hella books. I have a lot of books in my house, but I'm still gonna thrift my heart out when it comes to books, but I would really like to actually start going to the library. Just to get some newer books that, I'm not really the type to spend money on like buying a book new. I don't really go to Barnes and Noble, but the library would really offer me an opportunity to check out some newer literature. So that's something I want to do in 2026. It's interesting that I mentioned how 2025 was kind of like the foundation, and 2026 I'm building on it. So for the most part, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing in 2026. But it's worth reflecting on 2025. I did a lot of maintenance this year, a lot of which you didn't see. I fixed my washer about 5 or 6 times. Finally fixed it.
I don't know if y'all can hear that. That's the sound of my washer doing a fast spin. I almost started crying. Oh, it's a beautiful sound.
Except for now, the drain standpipe is still clogging. So I think it's at the point, I think I said this like 6 months ago, but I think it's at the point now where I really need to get a plumber out here to figure out what the hell is going on. It's probably just like a ton of dog hair. I've I've used too much Drano for my comfort, and so I think I just need to get a plumber out here. But fixing that washer was no small feat. It's usually an annual thing. My washer's 20 years old, and when it was having issues this year, it got to the point where I was like, I think I just need a new washer. But the logistics of getting something down my old stairs and getting the old washer up, and then my brother's texting me something about a listing that's he thinks it looks like bag end. I don't know what he's talking about, but this is one of the cons of using your phone as a recording device. What was I saying? Okay, the logistics of getting a washer downstairs and getting that one up. Um, and also, I was reading the reviews and the repairs that people were saying that needed to be made on their like 1, 2 year old machine were repairs that it took my washer 20 years to need. And I'm at the point where I have replaced damn near everything on that washer. So it can only be a few things if there's something wrong with it. So I'm sticking with my washer. But yeah, so I fixed my washer. I appreciate that washer every single day. I just wish that standpipe would come unclogged once and for all, because I've tried damn near everything besides getting a plumber out here. But I've tried every other low cost fix. I also fixed my sink in my bathroom. Um, Along with preparing my house for moving, I kind of want to dedicate every month to focusing on one room in my house, because every room kind of needs something or other, or there's like something I've wanted to do for a while that I've just never done. So I think focusing on like a room a month not only allows me to like financially afford and like tackle some projects in like a bite-sized chunk every month, but also it allows me to just like focus on one room and like get that room done and then move on to the next one. So my main focus for January is going to be my bathroom, mainly because I have all the stuff that I need, but there's other fixes I need to do, like both my sink and my tub faucet are leaking, and it's driving me crazy, and I know what needs to be fixed on both of them. I just need to do it. So it's just little things like that that I need to do all throughout my house. So I think tackling it one room a month will make it achievable. And then also I had a little bout with my foundation. My foundation has been giving me grief for years because it looks awful. Um, some of these stones need to be repointed, and that was the maintenance that I was going to do. And in like removing the old stuff and preparing to put in the new, I discovered that there's a pretty significant crack in my foundation that had been hiding behind some totes, and I had never noticed any water or anything coming in there. So it's been mostly okay, I guess, but it looks pretty serious. And so that kind of ended the foundation project for me. And I realized this is when I need to get a professional in. And I had two guys come out and give me estimates, and the overwhelming, I mean, amongst two men, but the overwhelming consensus is that this is normal settling for 100-year-old house. And also, I was kind of overreacting, which makes me feel a lot better, because that foundation has kept me up every single night for like 2 years until I got that first estimate. And he was like, the part that I was really worried about, he was like, I wouldn't even worry about that. Like, he wouldn't even give me an estimate for working on it because he was like so unconcerned about it. Um, and I haven't thought about that foundation a day since. They did quote me $12,000 to rebuild basically the southeast corner of my house. The thought is that that corner is sinking, and you can tell because it's kind of pushing in. So I don't know. I might get the work done. I hate to just leave it because I know, like, as a buyer, if I saw something like that, I'd be a little terrified by it. But the guy that was giving me the estimate, both of them were like, "Oh, I've seen way worse, and I guarantee if you had somebody come in here and like do an inspection, buyers wouldn't care, inspectors wouldn't care." So I don't know how much I believe that, but because the intention is to sell my house within the next 2 years, I'm debating: do I get the work done and pay for it myself, or do I just include the bid when I sell the house and, like, go about it that way? Like, if you want to get it fixed, I don't know. But essentially, the foundation that I thought was an issue this whole time is like a non-issue, which is crazy to say. So that was kind of like the big ticket items um, from 2025. There was also the deer, my beloved deer. You can go watch the video about that experience. I recap all of it. Um, I could talk forever and ever and ever and ever about my deer, but ultimately, um, that was the biggest thing that happened this year for sure. The deer in the shed were my biggest ticket accomplishments this year, and really defining moments for me, really moments where I was like, damn, I can do anything, anything. And also the power of manifestation. Holy shit. There's no way that deer came into my yard for any reason other than I just really, really, really asked for it and the universe answered. So, yeah, I've been talking for a long, long, long time. I don't know how much of this makes sense. I don't know how much of this is let me adjust my shirt here. I don't know how much of this my shirt has been looking weird for, but I've had a really big year in 2025, and I'm really glad that this is the year that I finally started posting to YouTube, because damn, what a year to do it. I mean, really, I was not doing stuff. I've been doing the homesteading thing for a while, but this year just took on a whole new flavor. And it's a pleasure to be able to share it and to live it. It's a pleasure to live it for sure. But yeah, it's a full moon. It's the wolf moon tonight, the first moon of 2026, first full moon of 2026, and I bet you it is sitting right outside my back window, big and beautiful. So I'm going to go look at it. If you watched all of this, if you watch any fraction of anything that I post, thank you so much. This has been a big year posting to YouTube. It's no small feat. I, as I've said, have wanted to do it for a really long time. And, everything happens for a reason, all in its right time. But this was really the perfect time for me to start posting. And I appreciate everybody's time. I know I'm a really chatty Cathy person. And, I like explaining things, and I like talking, and I also like just doing stuff. So I really appreciate being able to share it, and I appreciate um, your viewership. And it's been a pretty kick-ass experience. So I'm looking forward to continuing YouTube in 2026, and I hope to see you there. Hey, this is Post Conclusion Taylor. I just wanted to say, upon rewatch of me talking about all my animals, I neglected one. So he's not technically my pet that I'm claiming or anything, but I would be remiss to not mention him because he is precious and I do care for him. But there is a local stray named Cheese. He hangs out on my porch all the time, and he actually belonged to the tenants that used to live next door until September. And when they moved, they actually just abandoned him. And shortly after they moved, I found out that they had talked to the people that live behind them, that they kind of own a couple properties here that they rent out, and their son actually lives in one of the properties, and they've taken him in. She kind of takes in all of the strays and such. So they're taking care of him. They tried to rename him S'mores for some reason. He's an orange and white cat, and they had named him Cheese, and I'm like, it's literally perfect. Why would you rename him? So I refuse to call him anything but Cheese, and he responds to it and everything. Like, that's his name. That's why I call him Cheese. But yeah, I wanted to mention him. He's always out on my front porch. I actually bought a new love seat. I mean, because it looks better than the other stuff that I had, but for Cheese, and he's there all the time. So he's kind of a dick, so I'm not, I don't want to say I'm close with him, but I do care for him, and we are friends. He did kill a baby bunny, like a whole nest of baby bunnies in my yard this spring, so I do kind of have beef with him. And he's also an orange cat, so like he'll act like he wants you to pet him, and then if you reach down, he just like attacks you. So I've never had a cat like fully attack me before. So yeah, he's kind of a douche. So, you know, that's probably why I forgot him to begin with, but that's Cheese.